It's Sunday, January 10th, 2016, and this is the Product Mentor Talk. Today we're joined by one of our mentors, Ladislav Bartos, Head of Product of Web at Perform Group, and he's going to lead a talk on international product management, the challenge of globalization. So allow me to just briefly explain the format for those of you who might be joining us for the first time today. Along the bottom of your screen there are mentors and mentees that are in the current program, and mentors and mentees get paired up one-on-one for a period of 6 months to help people become better product people, make better product decisions, better product managers. And so what we're going to quickly do is just go around the room with some quick introductions. So I'm going to go in the order that everyone appears on my screen. And so I'm going to start with Matteo. Matteo, introduce yourself and say whether or not you're a mentor or mentee. And we will move on to Lonnie.
Hi everyone, my name's Lonnie. I'm a mentee in the program. So a product manager working at a company called Booker based in New York, and very excited to learn.
And Ladislav.
Hi everyone, I'm Ladislav. I'm a mentor, and I'm going to present tonight.
Excellent. And so I am Jeremy Horn, aka the product guy, and I'll be moderating here today. So you'll see questions coming from people in the room as well as the rest of the internet. Anyone watching this live stream can ask questions, and to ask those questions, just go to theproductmentor.com/live, and as the questions come in, I'll pass them along to our speaker today. Also, if you have the more generic questions, I'll generally save those to the end, or the more common questions that I might answer typically in my closing remarks. Again, I'll save those till the end. But anything specific, I will pass along to Ladislav in near real time to get you your answers and keep the conversation going. And with all that said, let's get it going and hand it over to Ladislav to begin his talk. Go ahead, Ladislav.
Thanks, Jeremy. Let me turn on my slides. Just a second. All right, can you see my slides?
Yes, we can, Ladislav.
Great. So, hi everyone. My name is Ladislav Bartos, and today we will be talking about international product management. We will find out what it is, why is it important, and we will learn about the challenges it has, and we review a couple of recommendations for getting it right. But before we start, let me tell you a bit about myself. I'm currently the head of international product, which we're going to launch in Japan in 2 months, then Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and after that in 15 other countries. I've been working on international products in startup companies, but also in large organizations such as eBay. I'm passionate about international products and product management. That's why we cover this topic tonight. Can you still see my slide? All right.
We are seeing your desktop.
How about now?
Now we're seeing your slides.
Perfect. So just to understand the size and importance of global product management, I have done some digging, and I found some interesting facts, such as the world's 500 largest global companies generate around $31.2 trillion in revenues and generated around $1.7 trillion in profit in 2014. That's just a huge, that's amazing. And if you look at smaller companies such as Evernote, probably you heard about it, since their launch in 2007, they have around 100 million users in over 30 countries in 2013. And I expect it to be a lot higher right now. And if you are following news, probably heard about Netflix's recent announcement that they had launched their services in 130 countries simultaneously. And this way, Netflix is available in about 190 countries and 24 different languages. So the question is, what is international product management? It's very simple. It's basically managing products in foreign countries or multiple countries. It can be very simple by managing managing product in 1 to 2 countries, or it can be very complex when you manage your product in 10+ countries. And why is it very important? Basically, we can see from trends that the number of global products are increasing year on year. Technology and changing legislation make launching and managing global products easier. Sorry. Yep. Consumer behavior also has changed significantly. There is more demand globally for foreign products. Doesn't matter which country we look at. And consumers are more likely to travel to other countries, so they might learn about products and services they would like to bring to their local country. And also, large companies race for growth, and it makes them focus on global reach. And that's why it becomes more and more important. And if you look at the trends, we also see that the third wave of globalization has started, and it's happening currently. So now we will review some of the challenges international product management has. And these challenges can be categorized as external, happening outside of your organization, or internal, challenges within your organization. And in some cases, these challenges are slightly overlapping. So the number one external challenge is basically the language. I have to share with you a secret. Google Translate won't help you localizing your content or your product. It's just not good enough. We tried it and we failed. And just to understand how important language is, I brought you some example. I would bring us an example, Electrolux. And Electrolux one time marketed its vacuum cleaner in the United States with the following tagline: "Nothing sucks like Electrolux," which is clearly not great. Basically, what they've done, they just translated their tagline to English. Or another example would be Mercedes-Benz, who entered the China market with the brand name Benzi, which means rush to die. So you can imagine that people are not really interested in a brand. So this clearly shows that word-by-word translation doesn't work. You have to be very, very careful what brand you are choosing, what's going to be your company's name, and which countries you plan to go. Because if you make a mistake, your product can be and company can be completely misunderstood. The next two important challenges are culture and consumer behavior, which are a bit linked together, because culture has huge impact on consumer behavior, and changing consumer behavior changes culture. So for example, in Europe, the ladies are interested in tanning products, so their skin looks more tanned. In Asia, ladies are more interested in whitening products because they would like to look more white. So for example, if you would be a cosmetic company going to Asia with a tan product, you would just fail, just because you haven't understand the consumer behavior and the culture. Or another example would be Japan, where people still don't prefer to pay by credit card. Their more preferred payment is cash. They use convenience stores to pay for services. If you don't know this fact and you go launch a product where your acquisition is built around buying and paying by credit cards, you might have some difficulties. The next most important external challenge would be regulations. without fully understanding what are the legal requirements for setting up and running your business and market in your target country, most likely you are going to fail. It's clear that in all countries you have different rules you have to fulfill. In some countries these are more strict, in some countries they are less strict. What's important for you is to understand what are these rules and how you should build your product. Next point would be competition. Many companies underestimate their both global and local competition. They think that local companies are not competent enough. That's true that most of the cases, local companies don't have the resources and the budget to compete with the global brands and companies. However, what's their advantage is that they understand the local market. As an example, for epic failure, I would bring up eBay. eBay's entered into China in 2006, when a small local company, that time, Alibaba, made eBay to pull back from the country. But there are many other cases what I could talk about. Companies entering new markets usually understand the importance of good partnership. And most of the time, they also, they have a strategy for building partnership in a country they enter. However, what they don't consider is that partnership in each country can mean different things. So what's important for a US-based company might be not that much important for a China-based company or in Japan. And what companies entering a new market should do is to understand what are these differences. So for example, companies and employees in Japan work very, very hard. They usually work 15 to 20 hours a day. And now you can imagine what are their expectations towards a Western company. They think that they're going to work the same hours, and when they find out it's not the case, it can be very disappointing. Another important point is to understand the limitations of local infrastructure. It's as important as any other points we discussed previously. Failing to understand it can make your product fail very, very quickly. So imagine entering with a video-on-demand service to a country where the internet penetration is very low, and the monthly mobile internet usage limit is set to 1 gigabyte. Users probably won't be able to use the service, and just because video-on-demand services need more data, they wouldn't use this service because it would be too expensive for them. But the same apply to products where, for example, delivery is very important or other factors. So it's very, very important to understand what infrastructure do you need for your product and make sure that those are present in the markets where you launch your product. The last external point, what you shouldn't forget, is the time difference between two countries. Imagine you have to talk to partners, you want to talk to your consumers. It's very difficult when you are based in another country. Or another example would be, which eBay actually did wrong when they entered China, is that they released changes to their servers on Thursday evening because that was the most convenient for the team in the US. However, that time it was in China, it was Friday morning, which is the peak of internet usage in Asia. And most of the time, when the release happened, the website wasn't usable in China. So that's another failure. So you have to consider time difference, not just for communicating with consumers, but whenever you make any changes in terms of your product. Now, moving to internet challenges. The number one challenge, I would say, is hiring. It's very, very difficult to hire and find and hire local talents because in Western countries, especially when you go to Asia, in Western countries and Western companies, the expectations are very, very high. And even if you find a talent, it's difficult to interview them, difficult to engage them. And when you enter a new market, those who you try to hire, they usually prefer to work for a established big company who is already on the market. So when you just enter a market, it's just so difficult to get them interested in your product. If they are very talented, they might say that, well, you don't have offices, you don't have operation in the country yet, so I'm not interested. Or most likely they might not have the right experience. The next point, the next internal challenge would be communication between countries and departments. Because not just because of time difference, but also because cultural differences. If we just compare the number of holidays employees can have in each different countries, or if you just compare the bank holidays in each country, we can quickly realize that employees in different countries work different way, and it's hard to create a consistent, standardized group process. Which takes us to the next point, consistency. When you think about consistency, when you manage product in multiple different countries, it's just very, very difficult because it's difficult to set what should be run globally and what should be run locally. Which takes me to the next point, centralized versus local management. Setting up the right structure for your product management operations is very, very important. If you set up a too centralized structure where most of the decision is made in the headquarters, then you might end up with delays. You might demotivate local teams. You won't be able to react to the market changes quickly. However, if you set up a too local managed teams or structure, you might end up being too disengaged with the local teams, and they might run out of control and take your product to a wrong direction. So it's very, very important to set up the right structure. At the same time, let's not forget about the right global strategy. Global strategies is a very interesting point because it can be very simple if you are in just few countries, but it can be very, very complex when you are multiple different countries. And if you get it wrong, it might end up either too inflexible and not matching target market requirements, or too expensive. If you make your global strategy too focused on the local market, it means that you have to set up operations on country level base, and it can be very, very expensive. And the last challenge I would mention is gaining local experience. You have to have an aim to gain as much local experience as possible, especially when you don't have any experience in the local market. Because what you need to do, first of all, is to validate your assumptions, validate your product market fit, and make sure that the processes are right. Usually, what companies make and product managers make as a mistake is that they launch a product, they expect that everything works the same way in the target country as it works in the local country. And they don't even try to understand what are the differences. So it's very important to make sure that you gain local experience as soon as possible. So now, moving to recommendations. Now that we know what are the challenges, we can look at some recommendations which can help you to set up and manage international products easier. This might come handy. First, number one recommendation is to be open-minded. Forget what you know. By entering new markets, you will learn many new things which you never thought about. And to be able to deal with this new information, you have to be open-minded. Otherwise, sooner or later, you are going to face problems, issues, challenges. And most of the cases, what happens is local teams highlight that your strategy is not right, but because you think that you are experienced enough, you push back and say, no, I know what's right, and we're going to go my way. And I would say 90% of the cases, that's a problem, and you might fail. Next point is to understand the market. Try to learn about the market as much as possible. If you can, visit the countries, spend some time there, talk to the locals, run some user testing, check out and try most popular local products. The more you can know about the market, the better you can make your product. It might sound challenging. So if you, let's say, launch a product in 10 different countries, probably you cannot spend time in all 10 countries. However, you always can prioritize. You can. In my experience, I never had 10 countries having the same priority. So take a look at those countries, find out which are the top 3 countries for you, and start with those. And once time, if you have more and more time, then you can look at other countries as well. Next advice is create the right strategy. When you understand the market enough, then you can create the right strategy, or to make the existing strategy right. Usually when global strategies are created, many important things have not been considered. And your role is to identify these important facts and to improve your strategy. And if the product fails, it's most likely it's because the strategy wasn't right or something hasn't been considered. So make sure that you're open-minded, you learn about the market, and use the information what you learned to create the right strategy. Next tip is hire local talent. This can take longer, as we mentioned before. However, really worth the time to wait. If locals don't fully meet the requirements for the hiring, hire someone who has the right foundation and are quick learners, and are not shy to challenge your decision when it's clearly wrong from their perspective. Once you hire the right talent, make sure you keep them motivated, because it will be difficult to find any replacement. And when you hire the right team, make sure that you empower them. They have to feel that they are part of a global company and they are really important. They should be able to make decisions locally, and the aim here is to find the right balance between centralized and local management team. It's very easy to lose people when they are not motivated enough. It happened many cases when the company was very centralized and the local teams had no power. They were not be able to make local decisions. That's why they were not able to react quickly to the market changes, changing consumer behavior. And local competition, local players could react faster and could take over the market. Next point would be establishing trust. Building trust is probably the most important action you have to take when you manage product. It's not just about building trust with your consumer, but also with your team, partners, and local government. It takes a long time. That's why you have to start it as soon as possible. Also, because building trust takes a long time, and also building successful product takes long time.
So I want to jump in there. We've got a question, and I want to hand it over to Lonnie to ask his question.
Sure. Let me just stop sharing.
Yeah, thanks. So my question is, out of all the countries in the world, and there are many of them, let's say a US-based company was interested in expanding internationally, what are some factors we should think about to choose where first? Like, where do we start? Is it like same language as we speak, or are there other easy places to start, or what kind of list do you go through to make that decision?
Yes, so I used to work at eBay and actually done analysis on how eBay expanded to other markets. And probably number one thing what a company should do is to understand if the market is mature enough for your product. So imagine if you are offering a video-on-demand service, and the market is not ready, consumers are not ready because mainly because infrastructure or because of the price of the service. Probably that's not an attractive market, even if they speak the language, the same language. I wouldn't say language is the barrier. It's more about the market, product market fit. Probably that would be number one. And also if there is growth. So for example, you wouldn't like to take your product to a market which is too mature, which already has a lot of competition, and where your product won't be able to grow. Companies usually make profit when the market grows. So emerging markets, that's why very, very hot now, because internet penetration is growing year on year. People are having more disposable income, and they're going to be able to spend more on certain services. However, entering another market, which is, let's say, Sweden, where for eBay, for example, where competition is very high, the market doesn't grow, it's settled, it would be very, very bad. So it's basically, it's very dependent on the product market fit, who are the competitors there. Maybe you might decide to buy a company instead of bringing your brand to the market. eBay, for example, in Netherlands, instead of entering the market, they bought a local player called Marketplaats. So that's other ways they can expand. So this is what I'd say. I would say language, choosing by language is a wrong decision, because if you think about a US-based company and look at other countries where English is the main language, like Canada, Australia, South Africa, these markets are mostly mature, and you have already huge competition there. And that's why I would rather focus on product market fit, making sure that the market is growing. Hasn't reached its highest point. If it makes sense.
Yeah, great answer. Thank you.
So we got another question. This one comes from Sneha Chala. And Sneha asks, after a product is established in a country, what are the most important things that a product manager needs to keep in mind when expanding to new geo markets?
Yeah, so number one, most important thing is to find the right market to go to. It's just, as we explained previously, entering a market which is very competitive might take your product to failure. Number two, when you selected the right market, you had to find out what are the differences between the market you are already and the new market. You cannot just enter a market with your existing knowledge, because every market is different. People are using different payment methods. They're using the internet different way. For example, if it's an internet product, or if it's a physical product, then they use different distribution channels. So, for example, in some countries, big superstores are very popular, but in other countries, small local convenience shops are important. So you have to understand the infrastructure, you have to understand the consumer behavior, the culture. So, for example, you have to decide, should you enter with the same name, same brand to the new country, or should you change? So, for example, Evernote decided to change their name. So they didn't go with Evernote to China. They changed it to a Chinese name, which is very close to its meaning. But it became popular, and they made the right decision. However, if you take eBay went to China with eBay, and it's difficult for Chinese people to pronounce it. And Alibaba set up their own brand, Taobao, which means looking for treasure hunt, which is a very appealing name for the locals. So it's very important to understand the local market differences, branding, making sure that you launch your product with the right name. People can understand what's your product about. Also, as an example, the tagline, make sure that your taglines are localized correctly, otherwise it's going to take you to failure.
Excellent. So that's all the questions we have right now. Keep the questions coming in at theproductmentor.com/live, and as they come in, I'll pass them along to Ladislav. Again, as some of the more generic questions come in, I'm going to queue them up and ask Ladislav the more generic things at the end of the talk. With that said, back to you, Ladislav.
Thanks. Let me switch back to my slides. So, as I said, building trust, building products takes a long time. It takes years. It can take up to 5 to 8 years. If you look at Netflix, Netflix was set up in 2006-07, and after 8 years, they could launch their product in 190 countries. So it needs lots of effort, a lot of time, and you have to get it right from year one, day one. Otherwise, the more mistakes you make at the beginning, the more mistakes you have to correct later. So think long term. There is no quick win. And my last tip is learn from your mistakes, because you are going to make lots of mistakes. And the more you make, the better you become. And the more mistakes you make, you realize that you cannot apply your existing knowledge to all the markets. Things are different. You have to be open-minded, and the same, basically, what we discussed before. And as my last slide, I just wanted to look at the future of globalization, and just to show that globalization and international product management is going to be more and more important in the future. We can see more multicultural societies being created in different countries. If you look at big cities like New York, London, it's already happening, but it's happening also in other countries as well. People are more willing to travel and relocate. For example, China is booming now. You're going to see more and more people from China to travel to other countries, even settling down. And this is going to create more multicultural societies around the world. Also, you're going to see more powerful trading blocks being created, where countries are going to agree with import-export agreement, which is going to make marketing products and services cross-border more simple and easier. Global financing is very easy. You can set up a bank account from UK in a country, not all the countries, but in most of the countries easily. Now it doesn't really matter where your product is, or where you receive your where consumers pay for your product. You should be able to set up your operation and your financial system and backend system easier than 5-10 years ago. Another interesting fact is cross-border e-commerce is booming now. It's getting more and more important, not just because in China certain legislation has been done and the Chinese government is pushing cross-border e-commerce, but also, as I said, there is more demand in all the countries for foreign products, starting from Indonesia, people looking for products from Korea to the US, and people living in the US looking for interested in Japanese fashion and wanting to buy products from Japan. And we could continue with other examples. Next point would be global technology and innovation in global platforms. It's becoming more complex and creating more opportunities. When we look at the different waves of globalization, one drivers behind these waves were technology and legislation. And now we can see that, for example, in import-export and delivery services. They use a very complex system, and now using technology it can be more simple. So when you order a product, let's say from Hong Kong, it has to go through like 5 different companies, have to go through a company which deals with the import papers that have to be filled in when a product comes to the market. Another company is delivering it. Another company is delivering it the last mile. And you as a consumer, you don't even realize. However, the technology can now support all these activities very easier than before. And logistics is also, as I mentioned before, as part of technology. Logistics is changing, and it's easier to deliver products globally than it was 10, 15 years ago. And of course, if we talk about internet services, by setting up a online service in one country using technology like content delivery network and other technology which makes the user experience right in other countries, doesn't matter where your server is. That's another important technology which helps international products and services to expand and grow. So that would be it from me, and I am looking forward to your questions.
So we do have one more question. This question comes from an anonymous individual, and this is a more general question. In your own words, what are the key differences between product management and project management?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, usually for me, project management is a let's start from another point. If you want to be a good product manager, for me, it's important that you are a good project manager as well. You have to be able to keep track of what's going on around you, what gets delivered when, and make sure that all the teams are updated on their tasks, and it can be easily monitored and reported on. For me, product management, it adds extra complexity to it by adding strategy for creating and launching successful products. So it's not just about delivering something, it's also about making sure that you create a product which is right for the market, right for the audience. Usually when someone asks me what's product management and what's important about product management, I always tell that product management is kind of heart of the business, because if you want to launch a good product, you have to work well with the marketing team, because you have to market this product well. You have to work well with the development team, because they have to build a great product. You have to work well with the QA team, because they have to test this product. You have to work well with the customer service team, because this product had to be supported when the customers have problems. You have to work well with sales teams, because the sales teams are going to sell your product. And you have to work well with your legal team, because if your product is amazing, but not right for legal requirements, it's going to shut down. And most importantly, you have to work well with your design and UX team, because you want to make sure that your product is usable and it's user-friendly. So for me, product management is, I would say, it's more strategic. It's more about understanding product market fit. Make sure that when you decide to launch a product, you understand how you're going to do that. And project management is more execution and making sure, tracking that certain things happen. Probably it was this was the longest explanation I ever heard about it, but here we go.
Good, good. So that's all the questions we have. So thank you to our speaker, Ladislav Bartos, head of product and for web at Perform Group, for today's discussion of international product management and the challenge of globalization. And as always, the presentation will be posted to our SlideShare channel a little bit later today. And also a big thank you from me, Jeremy Horn, the product guy, and everyone else who joined us today, and the product mentor. And don't forget, if you're interested in being a product mentor, and we need a lot more, like today's speaker, Ladislav, to product people of all sorts, all levels of experience, all types of companies, visit theproductmentor.com today and sign up to be a mentor. We have hundreds of mentees. We would love to get many more mentors. Session 5 starts on May 1st, so definitely go and sign up if you'd like to be a mentor today. And also, if you're looking to fill a new product job with a great product person, visit our very own free-for-all job board. And with all that said, I'll see you guys all in the next talk. Bye.